Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and thank you for watching our videos and supporting us. As you can tell by the title of this video, I am going to be sharing my story, my testimony, where I came from, just kind of about me, kind of my backstory, and just where the Lord's brought me and what He's brought me through. So yeah, let's get right into the video. I come from a small town called Clueston, Florida. I was raised in church. My parents were pastors, so I'm a PK. Shout out to all the pastors' kids out there. I was raised in church my whole life. I kind of knew the Lord, had a relationship with the Lord going up through middle school, through high school. In high school, I kind of started partying just a little bit, started dabbling with some wrong crowd. I did start drinking and smoking in high school. And then I actually went to a youth conference and had an encounter with the Lord and realized that just wasn't for me. I quit the apprenticeship that I was gonna do right out of high school and decided to pursue ministry. Through it, I think I wasn't pursuing a relationship with Jesus, more so I was pursuing an encounter every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would pursue an encounter in church. I was not reading my Bible. I was not getting in a secret place with the Lord at the time. I was not chasing after Him to want more of Him. So therefore, just wanting more of Him in church services and trying to encounter Him through a prophetic word from somebody ended up like my relationship with Jesus really wasn't there. At the time I was 19, 20, I really started to backslide. I got offended. At the time I didn't obviously realize it, but I got offended with something that happened at church and really backslid and began to run from the call of God on my life. I knew what the Lord had for me. I knew what He wanted me to do, but I let that offense really bury down inside of me. I think that was a root of a lot of what happened with why I began to run from what the Lord had for me. As I was going through that, I got mixed in with some bad people. I smoked weed, I drank alcohol, ended up losing my virginity. While doing all this, I will say, I knew I was wrong. I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing it. I did it through being hurt and through that offense and living through feelings rather than through conviction. I'm hurt by that, so I'm gonna live my way and live this way so I'm not hurt, and then just keep my toes in the water at the church. I was religious. Like, I would be at church on Sunday 15 minutes early every Sunday, just so I would keep my parents happy, and it was just a big happy family. I would sit 2 or 3 rows back. It was perfectly fine. Sometimes I'd be in there super hungover, all kinds of stuff. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I'm not necessarily saying that my friends were bad people. Just because they're not bad people doesn't mean that they're the right people you should be with or hang out with. Iron sharpens iron. If you're not hanging out with people that are sharpening your mind, sharpening your spirit, and leading you to Christ, then you need to find a friend group that will. You have a flesh, and you have a fleshly desire to do sin, so why would you keep putting yourself in situations where it's normal to sin when it's not okay to sin for you when you've been saved? I get through that. I think it was 2.5, 3 years really of running from the call of God on my life. July of 2020, I think, I went to a bar, got super wasted, went to another bar, already wasted, and got more wasted, and decided to go drive, and ended up blacking out at the wheel and driving into a canal, turned my truck on the side and everything. And come to find out, the people that actually called the cops that saw my truck go in the water, they called the cops because they didn't see any movement inside the truck for 5 minutes. And when I got up, like, I had water in my mouth. Like, you know, when you jump in a pool, like, that's why some people hold their nose, because water be going up their nose. That's what it felt like, because I had like water in my mouth and lungs and nose and everything. It's only by the grace of God that I was still alive and didn't drown myself. And through all this, I remember texting my friends like, yo, I'm just gonna lay low for a bit and take it easy. You know, I've got a lot of heat on my back right now. Just gonna kind of chill out, relax. 2 weeks later, after that, I was in church. My pastor, he was preaching on the prodigal son and ended up doing an altar call for prodigal sons and daughters that needed to come home. And like, you know, when you're in a church service and you really feel that sermon pulling on you, and then that altar call be hitting, and then it's like, you know you gotta go up there, but you don't really want to go up there. I'm like by my seat on the front row with my parents. You can tell it's all over me. A woman in our church named Christine Jackman, she's an amazing woman of God. I love that lady. She came up to me, grabbed me by my hand, looked me right in the eyes and says, "The Lord is saying it's time to come home." And like right then, obviously I broke down crying because I knew like it was time and like I needed to make a change in my life, but that was like the Lord coming and telling me. As soon as I got to the altar, I remember it clear as day. The Lord said, "I have not forgotten the call that I've put on your life. Everything I've called you to be is still the same today as it was when I first called you. And you've been called." Since that day forward, I've just been running after the Lord. Bishop Tony Miller, I still think back on this day. He came up to me, he put his arm around me. He was just talking in my ear, and he leaned like this and like pushed, and he said, "Keep pressing, keep pressing. Right now is not the time to back off. We just need to keep pressing," and just really hammer away at what God is trying to do and where he's moving. A few months went by, really turned my life around, really started living for the Lord, started volunteering again at church, and started playing guitar and helping out with worship and helping out with youth ministry. Just really began a season like growing and learning a lot more. Ended up going to a conference called Faking Destiny. Took a picture with a mutual friend of this girl that I already had a crush on, and she didn't even know who I was. That mutual friend posted it on Facebook. She screenshots it, sends it to her mom and says, "You know who's cute? Destiny, Andrew's little brother." Her mom was like, "I think he's kind of young, whatever." I was at the place in my life where I was like, "God, just whatever you have next for me, I am perfectly okay with, and I'm believing you with my life. Like if you're calling me to be single, if you're calling me to go do missions, if you're calling me to preach, if you're calling me to stay, whatever it is, God, I'm just gonna be faithful and do whatever you want." I was in a service and they said, just give whatever you hear the Lord putting on your heart to give. I gave the biggest offering of my life, and the next day I just woke up with like this joy in my life, and I got a DM from this girl. She had red curly hair. You know who I'm talking about, my wife. So my wife is a product of faithful giving. God has brought me through some stuff in a really long way. It's just crazy, like his mercy. I don't know if you know the song Mercy by Elevation. It was almost like a testimonial song for me, like just see what the mercy of God can do. That's me, that is my story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you again for tuning in and watching this video. We love you guys, and see you in the next video.